Hello world, it's Bobz, live and in the flesh for the first time. We got a good one today. We are going to react to JGOD's floor loot tier list. I have not watched through the ranking part, so you are getting my true first reactions. And if you didn't know, he used our tier maker, my tier maker, gave us a little shout out. Now we're gonna have some fun and react to his list. I've sent him a bunch of messages on various platforms, and yeah, Jiminy Crickets, I haven't heard back. So I didn't feel right to use his video, but instead I'm gonna play in the background and then actually re-rank as we go through his tier list. Support of the channel has been amazing. It's easy to get caught up in the numbers, but this whole experience has taught me to value each subscriber. So thank you, each and every one of you. If you're enjoying this content and aren't subscribed, please consider joining our small but positive and informative community. The drive to 200 is on. All right, let's get reacting and re-ranking.
For several months, it's just something I kind of put off until I actually came across this link that was shared with me about ranking all the ground loot in Warzone in Season 2. If there's one in Season 3, I'll do the same thing or do my best to try and put one together. But as of right now, I have a pretty accurate list that somebody else put together, which we'll go ahead and talk about. If you enjoyed the video, learned something new, please do me a favor, hit the like button. Goal on today's video is 8,500 likes, so hopefully we can crush that number. If you're brand new,
8,500 likes, man. I wish I could get 8,500 likes.
That hasn't yet subscribed. Double check, make sure you subscribe with notifications on. So right here we have the tier maker. As I can go through, you can see it was set up by this guy. I'm gonna go ahead and leave the entire tier maker.
Okay, so when I first watched it, I thought it was literally like a blip, and he highlighted my name. I'll admit, my name is a little hard to pronounce. Bobz99BY doesn't really roll off the tongue. Bobz. JGOD, if you watch this, just call me Bobz. Next season, you're more than welcome to use my tier maker again. Just link my channel. Call me Bobz. We'll be good. Everyone, before I start reacting to his video, JGOD is amazing. Our community owes so much to him in terms of testing. I can't rank these guns without him and True Game Data, what they do. So though I may not agree with his opinions in this video, there's no hate. We owe so much to him. So thank you. I'm honored to use my tier maker. Let's see what you have.
In the description, so if you want to check it out for yourself. First one up is the Avalanche.
All right, so he's got 4 tiers, so let's change that up here. All right, so that's his 4 tiers. Near loadout, it's kind of like my S tier. Those are the guns that you would save a loadout with. Viable second weapon, it's gonna be a huge amount. Better than base X16, so I guess it's just like slightly above, so that's like my C tier. And then base X16 is better. I guess that could be my D to E or F, whatever you want to call it. All right, well, let's see what he's got to say.
This is better than the X16 just because it has that burst potential. It's pretty solid. I would definitely pick it up. Next,
he has it here. Of course, it's better, but it's B tier for me. I'm gonna put it in viable second weapon for now.
Next up is the Aztec Assassin for the AUG Cold War. This one's a near loadout. It's nothing special, but it's definitely top tier in terms of what is available as floor loot. And a lot of times you can pick up another weapon. This will be good at least until you get your loadout. I would definitely be picking this one up 9 times out of 10. The only other thing I'd probably pick up above that is the FFAR. But the FFAR could be used more like for your short to medium. Obviously 25 bullets, but we'll get to that. Then we have
okay, yeah, I mean, it's A tier for me. So we'll see where other guns land, but yeah, I'll stick with that. I'll agree with that for now.
We have the Tundra. I think this one's okay. It's a second viable secondary. So for example, if you want to go ahead and use this initially, maybe in solos, at least until you get your weapon, you have a floor loot FFAR. Go ahead and use this at least until you get your loadout, especially if you're playing like solos or duos, or maybe you're not going to be able to get 2 loadouts right at the beginning, the paid one and then like a free one. restock or whatever other perk you want instead of overkill, and then you can go ahead and hold on to this weapon. So even though it's not great, it'll at least get you by because it is a sniper rifle. The Howers,
yeah, it's lower viable, but it's definitely viable.
77. I think this one's good for solos. I think as you get into other groups, it does have a lot of finessing power. It's a viable second weapon. If you're going to go ahead and get like the AUG as your primary, you can actually pick up this shotgun and use that as your secondary with the example that I was saying. So it's definitely viable in that sense. Worth picking up. But there's a lot of great options that could be like. Okay,
he put it second viable. No, it is. I would definitely take a Diamatti over a Howard. Howard, as you guys saw from my no name brand video, I definitely like the Howard, but I would not put it viable second one. It'll get the job done. It's better than the base, but it's definitely in this tier for me.
Better than it. It just depends on situationally how it works. Not necessarily great in like trios or quads because of the ammo, the slow fire rate, but you can 2-tap at up to a pretty good solid range if you're able to land those 2 shots. AK-74U, this is viable second weapon, definitely better than the X16. It's not like I would just leave this over the X16. There's some times where literally I'll just walk over a weapon and be like, nope, not using that. Oof.
Yeah, this is definitely above the Diamattis for me. He's got the Howard over this one. No, I would not take the Howard. He must really like the Howard, because I would not take the Howard over any of these guns.
Bullfrog, viable second weapon, even near loadout. You can actually get away with that because it's low recoil, so the attachments aren't all that perfect. And then you can get your AUG to combine with that. You want to rock Ghost. So that one is actually a pretty solid option.
I agree. JGOD's a smart guy. I would actually take it over the AUG. I'm not a burst weapon fan, so it's up to you what you prefer.
Origin, again, it ends up being viable second weapon, but I would say it's a little bit more better, it's better than the base X16 for those close range engagements, but it's not amazing once you get a little bit further out, so I wouldn't necessarily combine that as your secondary option. It just doesn't have quite the range as the Howard 77. I guess you could put it up there, but this was kind of like a borderline in between.
So he gives you it could be up here. It's definitely near loadout for me. I mean, maybe I'm just like I love shotties. He doesn't. Oh, he's got the Howard really high. But Origin would be near loadout. In fact, I would, for me, take it over the AUG. Especially early on, especially in close, tight combat, this thing is going to shred up.
Type 63, better than the base X16. The recoil changes and all the damage stuff, it just makes it too hard to use. Obviously, a skilled player is going to be able to pull this off and they'll make it look easy.
Okay.
But general population, I've seen people play, this one's not going to be one that's easy to use.
I can understand his argument that he's saying there is skill involved, but I mean, I think we're all in the pursuit of skill, so I would inform you all that if you get good and your aim is decent, this thing will destroy. So it's the potential of it is up here. I understand what he's saying, like the standard player might not have a good time with it, but hey, we gotta reach our potential. So I would tell people it can be up here for you.
Sigma 2, this is great for destroying vehicles. Viable second weapon if you have like the AMAX or something like that, but you can get that for free for loadouts.
That's fine.
Really anything particular. Ellington,
it's here for me.
As well. It's a viable second option. It's not going to be great. It's definitely not going to be great. It's not going to have the bullet velocity you need to actually hit solid shots, but it'll serve you well.
Okay, so I had a good round the other day with this. I sniped a person from one chopper to another chopper with this. I hit like a 150 meter shot. This has a bullet velocity barrel, and reading the comments that JGOD had responded to, he mentioned two things. He mentioned that he hadn't tried every weapon and he didn't know the attachments, most of the attachments for the ground weapon. So yeah, he's kind of just going based on what the base weapon is. So knowing that this has a bullet velocity barrel would in fact make it a pretty solid option. In fact, I'm tempted, but I'm gonna put it here. Sigma's below that one, and the barrel, haven't had as great success with this Tundra. It doesn't have a bullet velocity barrel. This has the combat recon. This doesn't, so it's more of a short range. This absolutely can hit long and well. So that is definitely a viable second option.
Well, it's about 150 meters, 200 meters.
Oh, well.
And then anything beyond that, it can become a little bit of a struggle.
So I agree. Yeah.
I'm not picking up a Magnum.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We have the Tundra. Again, Tundra's going to fit into this viable.
Yeah, it's right behind here.
We have this RPD near loadout. This one's actually pretty solid. Very easy to use because the RPD, it has very low recoil. Death certificate, we have the...
Okay, I agree with him that the RPD is very easy to use. I do not like this version because it's got that very limited peripheral scope. It's got 150 round mag, so its handling is pretty poor. I'm taking the Peloton over it now. I love this Peloton, so it's here for me.
Craig, I think is a viable second option, but I don't think it's great just because the Craig
Sure.
kind of sucks.
Agreed. Agreed.
It just doesn't have the consistency some of the other
Probably
weapons have, especially in a loadout.
here.
It's not perfect built. All these loadouts, blueprints, they're usually trash. Let's be honest, they're usually pretty bad. They charge people for a cosmetic look that immediately changes as soon as you put on any kind of good attachments, quote unquote meta attachments. Then we have another Diamant.
Yeah, this Krieg is better than these guns. So yeah, I would put it right there. He's putting the Diamati.
This one could actually be second viable as well, because it does have a really nice TTK. It's just a little inconsistent because if you're not getting the chest headshot, it could be pretty bad. It still has a good damage multiplier that the Akimbo was taken away on, but this one still works very well.
Okay, why did he put this one over the other Diamati? He has this one here and then put the green one over it. No, they're very similar. There's no difference, so they should be right next to each other. I guess they are, but they're still separated by a whole tier. But all right.
Then we have the War Mp5 second viable. I haven't really ran into that one, but I know that the War Mp5 is definitely solid.
He got a lot of beef in comments about the Feldspar, and I understand it's a 3x on an SMG, but like I put in my top 5 mistakes we make with ground loot weapons, you just got to make it work. Hip fire it, zoom in from 5 feet away. The base gun is really good, so you're gonna kill an Uzi, you're gonna kill a Milano, and you just have to find a way to make it work. It's here for me, and so I agree it's a viable second weapon, but I know a lot of you were not about that.
We also have the FFAR that's near a loadout. Other FFAR near loadout doesn't even need to be said anything about that. AK-74.
Yeah, FFAR is where he has it. Yes, I agree. Although I like it better than the Aztec. He likes it more. He just likes. He's more used to burst weapons or I care for burst weapons. So, but the FFAR, everyone knows, amazing. It's just these are silenced, and this has just crazy up close killing potential.
For you, I mean, it's okay. It'll kind of get the job done, but it's nothing special. I'd probably even put these AK-74Us down a little bit lower, just because I don't think they're in the same class as the Bullfrog. It's just not the case. And they're definitely not as good as some of these because the optics kind of weird for an SMG. I'll go ahead and lower that one down.
Not sure what he means by that. The optics are quite usable. They're both just reflex scopes, and both are definitely viable second weapons. They're not C tier.
R9 shotgun. It's probably better at close range. Going to be very inconsistent. Same thing that we're getting with like the Origin. It's just the nerfs they've made to it, just not as good. Obviously, you can still get the 2-tap, but any 3 shots or more, you're in a bad situation. FR.
Again, I agree with that point, but often when you are picking up these guns right at the beginning of a match, you are going to be going against two-plated enemies. It's close, up close. R9 is absolutely a viable second weapon. I'm taking over Diamantes. I know some of you might like the Diamante more. You love pistols, but I love shotguns, and this R9 gets the job done. It's definitely viable.
I would say that's better than the X16, but it's not great as a, once you get into actual meta weapons, this thing doesn't stand a chance.
Yeah, agree. It's not great. I know some of you like it. It's just inconsistent for me.
Then we have the M60, which I think could be viable. They're just very slow. They don't really fit in the meta. It fires very slow. The TTK is kind of
not
bad,
viable.
so it's going to be better than the pistol, of course, just because you'll have that
yes,
ammo.
better.
Overall, I don't think it's really second
barely.
option. You're not going to be able to get away with it and pull it off. Whereas, you know, it's not even close to near
barely viable.
QBZ, yeah, it's okay. Nothing special.
Agree.
It kind of kicks it out where it could be. It's very easy to use because low recoil, so that's kind of where it sits. Then we have the
the QBZ is just too slow killing, so it's probably a little more consistent. I mean, honestly, this might get this one. That's how slow this is. I think I'm gonna put the FR over this one.
The SPR, I'll go ahead and put the SPR in there because it could be your second viable option. You have that mid and long range. You have a built FFAR class setup or AMAX built for short to medium. Then you can kind of stack it with the sniper rifle. You could grab this one, even though I'm not a fan of getting those floor ones just because they're not.
I'm not sure he's ordering within the tiers, but I am. So this is just behind the other Paladin. I now prefer the Paladin. This is very slow ADS.
Not built for max bullet velocity, so you kind of got to retrain your muscle memory of where to shoot. Then we have the Stoner, definitely worth using.
For sure.
Definitely viable. Second, and I always even say near loadout because of how good it is.
Yes, 100%. The Stoner is ridiculous as a easily found weapon. The Stoner is amazing. It was top 3 in my no name brand video. Only the FFAR and the Bullfrog were tops of it. I have put the Bullfrog over the FFAR. I know in the other video I put this one over this. I just prefer to be suppressed, but honestly, like FFAR, that's gonna do the most. You're gonna do most work with this. This is the jam for this season.
FFAR, we're gonna go near loadout.
This one's
The hour 77.
this one's better than these ones. I don't think he's ordering within his tier.
Throw it in here as well. Like I said, these shotguns could come down a bit, but I'm gonna put both of them up there just because they are decent enough where you can use them at least in solos.
Yeah, I mean this is worth the other hour.
The FR556, we're gonna go ahead and put it in better than the X.
He just skipped over the Magnum. Okay.
LC10,
Yeah.
that one's actually second weapon, viable or even near loadout. I think the weapon performs pretty well. It's almost identical to the Bullfrog, a little bit slower TTK.
And it's not
and
suppressed.
smaller ammo capacity, but the mobility is pretty solid.
But it's the big thing is it's not suppressed. So you want to know that these guns, which ones are suppressed, which ones are not. I mean, you pick up a gun, you want to know if you are going to be off the radar or not. So this one is behind. I think I might have put the R9 ahead of it in my last. Oh, I think I put the R9 up at the top for my last video. Yeah, I really like the R9, especially early on. And it's silenced. So yeah, I put the R9 up here. LC10 is behind that one, the Feldspar.
Then we have the M16. This one's second weapon is very useful and worth using.
Sure.
Kind of limited
Yeah.
by the 30 round mag.
Yep.
And then we have the
But it's definitely viable above the Diamantes.
AS Val, which is disgusting.
Yeah,
weapon
this
viable,
one,
worth using.
this one he got the most flack for. This AS Val is not good. It's not. I think Poffany, I might be saying his name wrong. He made a video on kind of this one, but it's just it's I don't think it has the fire rate of a FAL. Yeah, it might have a similar damage profile, but it doesn't have the fire rate. And yeah, maybe some of you can work it, but I'm not a fan at all.
The Milano, I would say it's second weapon viable. The TTK is kind of slow.
No.
Better than the floor weapon. weapon. Sometimes
Yeah, good.
in the beginning I'll
That's right.
fasten that up just because the TTK is so slow.
Yeah.
So, man, if I get more damage with the pistol, like it works out. Bullfrog, we're going to go near low.
Yep, for sure.
Put the origin again in the same
row. Nope. This origin is beastly. Do not skip on this, especially if you like shotguns. Sure, if you don't like shotguns, maybe it's only like down here or down here, but if you like shotguns, it's up there.
Pellington can go up top here.
This Pellington is a notch worse. Like I said, I actually think it's better than these Thunders. I don't like these Thunders. It's here. It's a notch below because it doesn't have bullet velocity barrel.
This one's just a troll weapon. I'd rather.
People like this pipe cleaner. Yeah, it's like a grenade launcher. If you like the grenade launcher in the past, my friend, he loves this. It's the bottom of viable, but all these like RPGs, Sigmas, it's a one shot down, and that is huge, especially if you like get shot at first and you need to like make up for that fact. These things can get you out of a jam very easily.
Rather stick with my pistol than go with the buffer. LC10, like I said, it can go to the top. We have a PKM. These are pretty solid. They're very slow, especially the way they're built.
Sure.
But you can get away with it just because the TTK is really good. Second weapon viable or near loadout, you can kind of stick with that and you're going to be fine. Just because the gun doesn't have a lot of recoil, so I'll go ahead and put it up near loadout.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. It's near loadout, just not silenced. So I would, yeah, it's near I think I might have put it in near loadout. I'm just gonna put it second viable, but I think it's near loadout. I think if you wanted to pick up your FFAR right away and use this as a long range option, I would support that. So I agree, near loadout.
Uncommon shotgun, again, you're gonna end up with that inconsistency.
Just behind here.
That we're seeing with the other one that we had here.
You can make it consistent.
The R9, you see them side by side.
The problem in this meta is getting close enough to a person. But in the beginning, when everyone's just running around with their head cut off, you're gonna be close to people. And then this thing, pop, pop, back out, pop, pop, they're dead.
By side now, both of them are a little bit hard to use. Jack 12, definitely viable second weapon. Especially
It's more than that. It's up here.
Pretty solid.
Yeah, this is, especially in quads. I wouldn't, duos, solos probably wouldn't, but in quads, when you have support with 32 rounds, you're gonna support your teammates well.
The RAL, we got that removed, so that one's gonna go kind of an other. Once it is in the game, it'll be second weapon viable or near loadout. Even with this particular build, even though it's a little bit slower, doesn't have a lot of recoil, very bad mobility, but it's kind of how it goes.
I mean, 100% agree. This gun's ridiculous. It's a shame. I guess they teased us and then they took it away.
Second weapon viable or even near loadout, just because you use it, but I'm gonna go ahead and put it near viable.
Yeah, I would say here. Yeah, this has more range. People like the AUG. It's here, which is what do you put? Second tier viable.
It's kind of compete with this other one. So I'm gonna say it's a tier worse than that.
No, I prefer this one to the legendary. It's faster handling. The dead bit is not suppressed. That's a huge thing, right? So that's why this one's better. This one's suppressed, this one's not.
Drop that down. RPG, obviously that's second weapon viable. You can get that with your loadout though. Regular RPD, even with this one,
yeah, right next to Sigma. Pretty easy to use. Pipe cleaners, I don't know. I haven't used much of the grenade launcher in pipe cleaner.
Thunder, I'm gonna go ahead and put that down here just because it's not quite as good.
It is suppressed, and that's why it's right below this one. I prefer this one. This has slower handling.
This is the top one here. The other M16, again, second weapon viable. The ammo ends up being a situation.
I agree. I agree.
63, another one very hard to use. You can get away with it. Top tier players will be able to get more out of it than others, but the recoil is just too much on that gun.
Also agree. I would keep it second tier viable because again, I want to tell you guys what the gun can be. Yes, you may have to work on it. Yes, you may find out it's not to your liking and then you lower it, but I'm gonna tell you what its potential is, and that's that it can get the job done. Get the job done.
Cold War AUG, another blueprint. Like I said, this
Yeah.
would be near loadout. So I'll go ahead and stack it there with the Aztec.
Yeah, it's okay. I guess he's ordering them now. I don't know. But that one, the sealer grip better than this one because it's 3x.
CX9, this was near loadout. That one's gonna be broken too. It's very good weapon based off all the data. Be able to compete with like the Mac 10.
Yep.
As soon as the FFAR gets a nerf,
100%.
We're gonna see a lot of that. Mac 10,
I
MP5.
completely.
We're gonna see like a 5 SMG meta and probably a shotgun. So we're gonna have a lot of variety, I think, with these options, just because they're gonna be so good. Unless this thing is just so nasty, once you can actually build it.
I honestly think it's gonna be, if it's not nerfed in any way from what I use, it's gonna be the meta, because it's basically an SMG AR hybrid. Like it has range and damage drop off that is equivalent of an AR, yet it's an SMG. So that's why it's number one. That's why it's gonna be meta when it comes out.
60, like I said, it does kind of lag a little.
Shalalala. Terrible.
Slow fire rate, slow movement, kind of a trash position.
It is trash.
They're still okay. That's better than the X16.
Yeah, the Renettis. Agreed.
We got the MP5 Cold War, second viable option.
That is a mistake. This is number 2. He got a lot of heat for this one too. This is, what more could you ask for? SMG, suppressed, 50 round mag, great base weapon. It's absolutely near loadout.
We have the Krig again. I don't really like the Krig. I think it's trash. So we'll go ahead and put it down here. Especially since it's not going to have as many attachments as this gold one. I'll go ahead and put it down.
It's not, there's really very little difference between these two. The barrels don't really make much of a difference. This has a 3x. They both have 3x. They both have a solid mag size. This is actually, in fact, has a better range barrel, but I just don't think the gun is really made for range. So I'd rather go with the one that I think this barrel is for short range. So that's why I prefer this one. Honestly, it's like a wash. They're really the same.
Put it down here. It can easily jump up and down though, so nothing crazy there. Then we have the PKM. Again, I think this is a viable second option, or you can even put it near loadout, just depending on how you want to use it.
No, this one does not have the long range attachments that the Epic one does. So this one is down. It's actually, in fact, down, I think, down here. It's on the top of this tier, but it's really usable only in a certain range. It's got a Merc thermal. It's a thermal hybrid. It's very slow. Not a real, the thermal I don't like. I like the other thermal, the Solo Zero. So not very good. Not very good at all.
Either way, if I put some in one and the other, it's just kind of one of those things that's pretty close. 1911s, I think you're probably still better off using the regular X16. Then we have...
People like the 1911, so that's why I have it as... Is it better than the X16? Maybe not. I think it's in line with the X16's preference. I'd probably stick with an X16 myself.
We have the Gallo. Gallo is a viable second option. It is pretty net.
Yeah, the Gallo is near loadout. I would take it over... I would not take it over for far, but I would take it over some of these guns. That's really good. So you're not going to be silenced, but neither are you with this one. It's really good though.
This one is okay. It doesn't have the optimal build, but it definitely has a solid build. The QBZ, like I said, the TTK is just too slow.
Agree.
It's better than the regular floor, you know, your X16, but it's not going to be able to compete. XM4.
I would put it over the FAMAS just because of the amount of bullets it's got. It's got 60 rounds. So honestly, I would probably take it over the PKM. No, I wouldn't. It's too slow.
Pretty solid. This one actually has a 60 round mag, so you can get away with it.
Yeah.
Viable second option. Pretty solid. It's not going to be like super good. I think the FFAR is still the better floor pickup. But this thing does have the ammo, low recoil, easy to use. TTK is fairly competitive. So it has a lot going for it, but it's definitely not.
So that's the thing. Like a lot of times when we're thinking of these lists, we're like, well, I would take this over it. But you can have a FFAR and a souvenir. So the souvenir, I'm matching it against the stoner. I'm matching it against a RAL. It's the long range, right? You're gonna hold a short range and a long range. So yeah, I mean FFAR is ridiculous, but it's very available, and you're probably gonna have one. So that makes getting a souvenir kind of a rare occurrence. It's also silenced in 60 rounds, like you said. It's S tier for me for sure, and I would put it. There have been times this season where I'm like, I've got a stoner, I've got a FFAR. Am I gonna pick up a souvenir? Probably not, because the XM4 is kind of in that middle range. So I get the argument for it to be lower, but if it's on its own, just like isolating it as a gun, it's a really good option. But I can understand at times you may not pick it up because a stoner FFAR combination is going to be better than XM4 and a FFAR, or stoner and an XM4. So I get it. It's still a really good gun, and I would put it on its own as a gun, but just paired up with other guns, it's kind of in a weird position. I can agree with that.
You're not gonna go, you know what? I'm not gonna push that loadout because I have it. Now you'd rather have a loadout. 10 out of 10. Stoner, even the uncommon one, I think is viable second weapon. It's pretty solid. TTK's good. Easy to use. Milano.
Well, I mean, for me, it's up here. I mean, based on his tier, near loadout, if his near loadout means I'm going to keep this gun as opposed to another gun, I might have to re-rank some of this. Like these, this. The stoner is something I would not. I have picked up the FFAR and kept the stoner. All right, I'm just gonna leave it as. I'm not gonna reorder everything. This is just here. Okay, this is better than that. Yeah, this Uzi is a bit of a disappointment, but I'd still have it as a viable. I'd still take it over Diamond. I know some of you might not, but
I'm going to put viable second option P90. This one's close. Near loadouts. No easy to use, no recoil. You guys a little bit slow, so maybe go second viable option.
Problem is got that Merc thermal. It's got a very slow ADS. If you don't like the Feldspar, you certainly don't like this one. This is not better than the Feldspar. I mean, I guess he put it in second tier viable, so that's fine. It would be low second tier viable. I think I'd have it probably right here.
Option. Obviously, the MP5 Mac FFAR shotguns are going to do a little bit better, so I'll probably drop that down a tier. Then we have the Uzi again. We'll go ahead and throw that.
Sure, right next to the other one.
But the ammo situations and the slower TTK, if you're not using the AE rounds, end up being kind of.
So they are AE rounds. He didn't know that they are AE rounds. Still, they're still a TTK, so it doesn't change, I think, much drastically. They're here. They're viable.
The FAR 83. This is actually a second viable option, but the problem is it gets beat out by the FFAR. It has a weird recoil for range, so you're really only going to use it like you would a close range AR, like you're using the FFAR now. So I think that's going to be better than this, even though the TTK is really good. I think most people just steer away from it. It's better than your base pistol, but you can upgrade.
No, JGOD, no. Using his, yes, it doesn't have good range, but none of us complain about the FFAR floor loot having poor range. We all love it. This has more range than the FFAR. Yes, it's not as competitive TTK wise, not as good, but it is competitive. And then it has 60 rounds. So this is what I don't get about people saying, it's so hard to control. I mean, the FFAR is not great to control. we just know to like not use it beyond 25 meters. Same thing with this one. Just don't use it above 40 meters. You can control it. It has 60 rounds. It has a competitive TK. It is definitely near loadout. You can definitely hold on to this and get a long or sniper, whatever you want. And this can be the sniper support, 100%. I don't get why a lot of people feel that way. This is definitely top tier floor loot. And if you're not picking it up, just leave it for me and leave it for the other people who know that this gun is basically a higher capacity FFAR, floor loot FFAR. You gotta keep in mind the attachments of these guns. Makes all the difference.
RPD again, super easy to use.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and throw that in there. Second weapon viable.
More than second. This is a better souvenir, and so it doesn't have the kind of punch of these guns, but this thing is like an easier souvenir with a bigger capacity mag and more range. So I love the Warlord, and it's suppressed. Don't forget, you gotta remember what guns are suppressed.
This was actually stacked out a little more, so it's pretty, a pretty solid weapon. XM4, we'll go ahead and put that better.
No, XM4 suppressed. It's definitely here. It's not great, not bad. Just gets the job done. It's suppressed. Yeah, it only has 30 rounds, but it's definitely a viable second weapon.
Better than the pistol. The Kar98K is always good. It doesn't necessarily have the perfect attachments, but at least you got something going for you.
I've seen a lot of comments on his video like, where is this? And I agree. I've not seen it this season. I put it in because some people on Reddit at the beginning of the season said they saw it. I think they saw it in Plunder. I've never seen it in BR or Plunder. So frankly, I should really leave it off, but I'm just going to leave it off. You know what? I'm just going to leave it off because I've never seen it, so it doesn't deserve to get on.
With the Farah, again, same scenario.
Just right behind the other one.
Obviously, these are loadout stuff that I probably would have picked that up off the floor. You're better with the pistol. Launcher, grenade launcher, that's cool. It's better than that. But
yeah, these are all stacked together. Your preference.
But it gets very consistent. You run out of ammo real quick. You put yourself in a bad spot. MP5, second viable weapon there, and then we got the
No. This would be up here. I'm also gonna leave it off because I haven't seen it in a BR match. I've seen it in Plunder. All right, so I'll put it in because I've seen it in Plunder. It's definitely third. This is an MP5, 45, a full mag, 45 rounds. This thing is kicking some booty.
Definitely better than the X16, and then the Shadow hasn't been added yet. But I would imagine I'd rather have a pistol than that, especially in a
where's the other one?
Maybe at range, you can get away with
this
it.
one's here.
The great part about this list is literally almost everything is worth picking up, except for a
This is better than the Joker for me.
handful of items that I don't even feel like I've come across on a common occasion. You're almost better off picking up something 9 times out of 10. That's pretty much it.
So that's it, guys. We've reacted. I mean, certainly there were some things that I questioned JGOD. Maybe he didn't know the attachments. Maybe he has a preference of gun. Maybe I just don't agree with him. But a lot of it I did agree with him. And it makes sense because JGOD's a super smart guy. And so even if he didn't know all the attachments and hadn't tried them all out, his list was solid. But definitely, I think you gotta know what's suppressed. You gotta know, there's nuances. So you can compare my list to his. I'll leave the link to his video down below. Definitely subscribe to him. You guys probably all are subscribed to him. I mean, I don't even worry about that. But if you're not subscribed, you're gonna learn a lot from him. Subscribe here, and I hope you enjoyed the reaction. I hope you enjoyed seeing my face for the first time. Probably won't be the last time. Thank you guys for all the support. Thank you for just all your amazing comments. This video was super long. I'm going to try to edit it down. Fingers crossed. I'll catch you guys on the next one.